We're gonna take the airport from Cleveland to Cincinnati, and we're gonna go down to Cincinnati, where in 2023 Burrow gets hurt. They were just derailed with injuries, and they missed out in the playoffs. 2024, they got off to an extremely slow start, 0-3, losing to the Commanders on Monday Night Football. They fight back. They were 4-8 at one point. They win the last 5. Joe Burrow puts up a career year. Jamar Chase is a Triple Crown receiving champion, and they miss out in the playoffs with the Broncos playing a resting Chiefs team. And they're trying to figure out what's going to go on here, and look at these two right here, and probably somewhere in this picture you'll find T. Higgins, who we're going to probably be mentioning in the next 33 seconds. So if you want to pull us back out here, Dom, we're going to go right into this offense where the money is tied. The bank has been called. The bank's open. T. Higgins, he's staying. He gets a 4-year extension. Jamar gets a big major extension, beats out Justin Jefferson by I think $3 or something. Wow. Joe Burrow, he's there making his big money contracts. They bring in Lucas Patrick from the Saints. They draft Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd round this past draft. Samaje Perine comes in. There's not a lot of ads because of where all the money's being thrown to, which is essentially wide receiver 1, 2, and quarterback. So just like the Miami Dolphins. But Mike Gesicki, he gets an extension. He stays there after his best career year by far. But yeah, Zach Moss, he's still there. Chase Brown, the presumable number 1 RB. But yeah, what are we looking at here as I'm trying to I closed out that tab, so I can't even open it back up. We're going to figure it out. But
oh God, can we get over the whole we look terrible in the first 3-4 weeks of the year?
Yeah, dude. But they still have the same coaching staff, right?
I think, well, they got rid of Lou Anarumo. He was fired. So the new defensive coordinator, I think it's the guy from Notre Dame that came in. So rejuvenating on the defensive side of the football. Offensive, they haven't really been the same since Callahan left, but they kind of look better without him.
I mean, Zach Taylor's a joke. We can all say it, right?
Yeah,
he's been there since 2019. Andy Dalton's last year. AJ Green, Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, and a good Georgia product wide receiver.
Yeah, it's bordering on Marvin Lewis territory already, where it's how do you?
I mean, but Marvin Lewis never won a playoff game though in his tenure. Yeah, at least we saw the Bengals at least make it.
At the end of the day, what are we doing here? This guy is a joke.
You have the tools, for sure.
But this isn't the team where it's this is the Browns. Okay, Browns defense is really good, but they're not going to be good if they're on the field for 40 minutes. And it's the Bengals offense here. The Bengals offense isn't going to be good if you're on the field for 40 minutes a game.
Besides that, the play calls and the penalties, and it just nothing seems to flow or ever makes sense. Besides, oh, here comes Burrow and the top 2 receivers just making plays.
And decent run. Always decent run. It's never spectacular. It can be supporting. So I don't even think that's an issue. You give them enough of a chance to let Burrow and the receivers do their thing. That's always the case. You're good there. The one thing though that we constantly talk about is the offensive line for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, and
it's really not bad. Our Mims, he kind of has grown into that role at right tackle, especially at the end of the year. Orlando Brown, I mean, hey, it's Orlando Brown. Hopefully he can block. I think he said Joe Burrow's his favorite quarterback to block for, but I think he meant to say Patrick Mahomes, but that's another topic for another day.
So I did a little Google search on Lucas Patrick, and I can tell you I did not see it is overwhelmingly negative feedback about Lucas Patrick.
Well, the guy he's replacing is quite possibly the worst offensive lineman I have ever seen in Alex Kappa.
I don't know too much about Lucas Patrick, but
if it can't be worse than Alex Kappa, then at least there's something going for you. There has to be something going.
Worse, you actually have achieved something, because
I mean, I'm seeing below average at C is what he's been described. He's not good is a headline. I mean, it's just kind of rough game.
It's all right. We have a number of right guards that are going to be at a camp battle. You can have one of them for one disgruntled defensive end who we may or may not talk about.
We'll see.
There's a couple defensive ends.
I'm curious because I feel like this was not maybe the answer. So I am curious to see what if their constant year-to-year issue gets solved or not. So otherwise, personnel on this team, nothing's changed really, and we know what we expect on this offense. Ultimately, just need more consistency.
You need to be able to block so you can actually run the ball.
Yeah. So
let's go to the defensive side of the football, where let's talk about some defensive ends here. Trey Hendrickson, he wants to get paid. Yeah, he's holding out. He's pretty much dug into the trenches here. He is not moving. Shamar Stewart has a weird clause in his contract to where if he gets hurt, essentially the Bengals can void all guaranteed money. So he's pretty much dug into where he is. He doesn't want that on there because, well, being the 18th overall pick, making $11 million, $12 million, you're making good money. It's life-changing money, especially at the rookie's age. He's dug in there. They bring in TJ Slayton Jr. from Green Bay, but essentially it's really all the same here. There's not a whole lot of difference. The only difference is they did bring in the defensive coordinator from Notre Dame, so maybe they can rejuvenate the defense a little bit more. They did release Jermaine Pratt, and then I forgot Logan Wilson. No, he's still there. Is he? Yeah, he is. Who's the guy that retired? Drawing a blank.
Pratt retired.
Yep, Jermaine Pratt retired after 7 seasons, only 29 years old.
I was confused, those two.
Sam Hubbard. There you go.
Sam Hubbard, who was going to get cut, and he said, I'm going to retire. And he dug in and retired. There's really nothing a lot of here. It's really just, okay, are they going to pay Trey Hendrickson after already shelling out $60 million between T. Higgins and Jamar Chase?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, the news doesn't look all too promising on Hendrickson. It's a lot of trade talk.
Oh, I don't think he's going back. He's gonna get traded somewhere.
A lot of headlines of like, oh, Dallas should replace Micah with Trey Hendrickson, or like, San Francisco.
I think that's the worst thing because, like, okay, you're gonna trade Micah. Micah wants even more money than Trey Hendrickson, so it's like you're pretty much you're screwing yourselves there if you try to trade him. But you can get a lot of value for Trey Hendrickson.
I know there's some guy you normally poaches around this time of year. He
sniffs around the bush.
Him and his binoculars.
Does he like Skyline chili? Do we know? Do we know if he likes Skyline chili? The Cincinnati special.
I don't know. Again,
there's nothing impressing to me on this defense. It's okay. Can the new guy what's his name from Notre Dame scheme up something that's actually good, and you're not going to get torched to where Joe Burrow is the one that has to throw 45 touchdowns again next year and have to dig you guys out of deficits year in, year out. That's kind of like my question.
I just think with better coaching, because so the dumb Cam Taylor Britt things also don't happen. But I don't think this.
The weird pass interference calls down the field, coincidentally in Arrowhead.
Yeah, those are unavoidable. You have to actually blow them out to win those games.
I don't know.
Assuming Trey Hendrickson's there and they stop screwing around with a weird clause that's never existed before for Shamar Stewart, like, it's not a terrible defense.
My issue is this is just like the offensive line. It's the same conversation I'm gonna have where they were a bottom 10 defense last year. Not really anything changed. Potentially, especially if you don't have Trey Hendrickson, it really could get worse. So, like, personnel-wise, just looking at the depth chart, here we are. Do we expect anything to get better or not? I personally think we do, because I feel like you don't see a defense just be that bad twice in a row like that on a team that's a playoff team. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I really think the biggest improvement for the defense is the O-line block so they can run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're not all on the field every play of the game.
That's valid. Hopefully.
Like, a defense that plays as much as theirs has to play as much as theirs will never be good. Period.
Yeah. I mean, that's valid.
Shall we
So-
move over to schedule?
Yeah, let's.
All right, schedule here. 9-8 was the tempo last year, and last 2 weeks of the season could either be played on a Saturday or a Sunday with flex scheduling, especially week 17. But yeah, I think your hardest competition is going to be week 1. You have to shake off that rust early and quick if you want to, compete. Because hey, listen, last year, let's pull out for a real quick second here, okay? Your pullout game's not that good. All right, there we go. The Patriots, okay? That was the tale of 2 different teams last year, where the Patriots, if they lost week 1, could have been the number 1 overall pick team, and the Bengals could have been in the playoffs. But those roles reversed to where now the Bengals were out, and the Patriots only fell a few spots, but they still ended up getting the guy that they wanted. But then week 2 they played the Chiefs. They played the Chiefs really tough, but penalties cost them, and they lost the game. And then the Commanders showed up on their first primetime game in God knows how long, and thumped them in Cincinnati of all places. So they had to start from 0-3 and work their way back. But looking at it, okay, Monday Night Football at Denver, that's going to be a very tough battle. I mean, week 17 was great last year. You do have a lot of primetime games. Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. At least you're not in Pittsburgh. You're home for that. And then Miami, which probably will get flexed out. Let's be honest here.
You know what the issue is
Oh, God.
I really have a hard time seeing any improvement from last year. My issue is the string of teams they face in like October, starting in October or September, really, where you face the Broncos, then the Lions, then coming off of that, the Packers, then the Steelers, which is tough in Pittsburgh. So that's not a fun matchup for this team. They get a nice, no offense, Will, but they do get a nice, Jets game, and then Steelers again. So that's
I got 11 wins.
Fun stretch. You have 11 wins.
I got 11 wins.
I don't have that much.
I
I
have
got like
like
7.
Yeah,
I think they could get. I mean, last year I think they're going to continue hot like they did last year, where they finished 5 wins. I think they could win at least the first 3 games. I think they'll drop against Denver, drop against Detroit. They'll win against Green Bay. Short week against Steelers. They're going to lose there. They're going to thump the Jets. They're going to thump the Lions.
I went 3 wins through the end of October.
that's how I feel. I'm having a hard time justifying.
I even say they
more
split.
than not.
They split against the Ravens, obviously. But then they'll play. Oh, they're at Miami. Oh, okay. I thought that was at home. So I was like, okay, cold. Yeah, Bengals win.
Also,
They
the
shit out.
September through October, travel sucks. You
Yeah.
gotta go from at Minnesota, at Denver, back to Detroit, back to Green Bay. Then you're home for 3 weeks.
That's what
then
I'm
you
saying.
can finally get a rhythm going from there. But
That's what I'm saying. Is that stretch right there is not an easy stretch. And then going straight into playing Pittsburgh.
on top
As
of they
well.
always start slow.
Yeah, it's. I'm really having a hard time justifying more than 9 wins. Like 9 wins is kind of as much as I can muster up for this team right now.
Now,
Honestly,
again, if the O line looks much better, then it's gonna be more than 7. It's gonna clearly be more than 7,
Yeah.
8 games. But
it's true.
as we saw them, and as we know them to kind of be right now, like it's not pretty.
Yes.
For all the talent in the world they have, it's just that they don't have the details and they don't have the trenches.
We went through their roster, their coachings. The head coach is the same.
I forgot to ask the question. With the Browns. We're gonna. Yeah, we
Yeah,
gotta ask the question. What's gonna make the season successful? I mean, we've been missing the question this entire time.
For the Browns,
Oh, brother. Well, no, we're talking about the Bengals
Okay.
here. We're not. Well, the Browns are done. Okay, we're not talking about them. It's all about the Bengals now.
no, a team with Joe Burrow, these 2 receivers, this same head coach, stuff like that. Your successful season is at least making the Super Bowl. I would say winning the Super Bowl. There's not really a cool, we made conference championship. Like that's not even a exciting thing for this team, I think. They know they should be competing. Joe Burrow has gotten there. So getting there again is not like the biggest accomplishment. It's not like, hey, we got past that step. No, you winning the Super Bowl is what I call success for this team at this moment. I don't really think you're not setting up for next season. There's what do you have to accomplish that Joe Burrow hasn't accomplished yet? That is not winning the Super Bowl. You know,
I don't know. I think that's a far reach.
it is a far reach. I know, but what else? What do you call success for this team on this season?
You got to get back to the playoffs at
Get back
least.
to the
If not,
playoffs.
I think Zach Taylor, that's 3 years in a row.
That shouldn't be baseline. That shouldn't be
it absolutely should be baseline because they went from basically like
Joe
a wild
Burrow is
card
a top 5
to-
quarterback. You have a top 5 receiving duo. Like you have a top 3 young receiver in Jamar Chase. Like,
then you need to be accomplishing.
yeah, you got to be in the playoffs at least. If not, Zach Taylor, you're out. You gotta get rid of him.
I don't know. I have a hard time.
Hey, there'll be a lot of buyers for this team. Like, trust me. Like, a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, I want to coach Joe Burrow." Oh, hey, look at this receiving duo. Like, you'll find people out of the woodwork that are gonna be like, "I want to coach this team." If it was to become available.
That means you probably don't have the best season, or you kind of just get eliminated right away in the playoffs. I don't know.
There's a good chance they don't. There's a very good chance they have another bad year.
Yeah, which is just not okay. Not okay.
And
for this
the
season.
vibes are super low with all the bullshit off the field at the moment.
And you just can't have just another season go by. These dudes get older. Like you just can't. We're not. What are we doing? It's been. When did Joe Burrow make Super Bowl? What year was that?
21.
21.
It's been 4 years since then, man. You just can't.
But see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing for the hope is whenever Joe Burrow actually like makes it in, because it wasn't even high seeds the last two other times.
Yeah.
Like he is one of the best playoff performers in the sample that he has in the whole league.
100%.
He went Super Bowl and lost a close game, and then conference championship the next year and lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah. But this is why I'm saying I have a hard time saying that success for this team is.
But they weren't
anything short.
Stud teams that made it those years either. They were just snuck in and
I don't
went
know.
on runs because they're that talented and that's what they do.
I mean, winning this division would be decent for them. Winning this division over the Ravens.
I don't think they win. I don't think they win the division, man. I don't.
I'm just trying to say what I'm considering success for this team. I mean, that's it. You need to be dominant in some sort of fashion to the point where it's showing on this in the standings.
Honestly, a successful year for them is getting out to a hot 4-0 start.
Fixing some of the issues. Yeah, honestly.
Just showing signs of improvement at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't go 0-2 or 0-3 to start the season, that's improvement. But how could you close out the season?
Yeah, improvement is different than successful season to me, though. I don't know.
Well, let's say success because that's all that's held them back the last 2 seasons.
It's true. Yeah, we'll see.
With all the issues and all the nonsense, if they just don't start slow the last 2 or 3 years, they're right in the mix for what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tough division. If you win this division, that's huge. That's an accomplishment. I consider that up there. Now you're talking about Joe Burrow, who we consider a top quarterback in the league, top 3 in that position of accomplishment, at least for a quarterback up there. That's what I'd like to see. That would be success. Now you're performing as kind of what we consider you to be performing as, but can't be last year again. I like Will's 11 wins over our sub 500.
17 ties? Well, how do you get that?
Would that make you playoffs? I don't know how that works.
I don't even know how that math works.